Hi Flavia, so we've got more essays. Great. You've really been working so hard, and I am certain that your IELTS scores will reflect that. So let's get right into your new essays and see what you had to say. This one is about pollution. What are the reasons and how can it be solved? Okay, let's see what you said. The development of metropolises, you need to make this plural, usually comes. Now why? Because it's development of something singular. Your lead noun is singular, so it should be comes with some environmental drawbacks. Various types of pollution like air, environmental, and noise are commonly observed in these cities, and this issue seems to aggravate every day. Aggravate's not the right word here. I think instead you should have said seems to increase, seems to explode, seems to I don't know. I think probably increase. Okay? This essay will discuss the causes for these problems and suggest solutions using examples to support facts and prove arguments. All right, lovely. The causes of pollution in cities. No the here. Because it's not like you're talking about specific cities. You're talking about all cities. Okay, so the causes of pollution in cities are often linked due to the fact that big cities offer more infrastructure, careful with your spelling, and jobs. More people are attracted to live there. Okay, this leads to more cars and buses needed for transportation and which emit pollutants in the atmosphere. Okay, so transportation which emits pollutants in the atmosphere. Now, again, in this essay, I'm seeing lots of spelling mistakes. I'm going to assume that when you do these, you don't use a spell check, and that's good. But I do want you, after you submit them to us for correction, to run a spell check because there's just errors just abounding. I mean, emit is wrong, atmosphere is wrong. So I want you to learn how to spell these. I would hate for an otherwise lovely essay to get a poor score because of spelling. It would be such a shame, okay? So let's move on. More cities also translate, I don't know what I'm reading. More people also translates to increased consumption, yes, which generates more waste. Industries are constructed to supply the population's needs and therefore generate more emissions, making this problem even worse. Also, the green areas are often insufficient to compensate for the amount of pollution released into the air. Okay, again, I think here, honestly, the biggest problem is spelling. Otherwise, it's a lovely essay. A couple of little problems, but nothing too serious so far. Let's see how you dealt with the next paragraph now. There are some ways to address this issue and lessen the pollution levels. Basically, all of them consist of educating the society about how to minimize the problem. For example, campaigns encouraging a reduction in waste production and its better disposal can facilitate recycling programs. By stimulating people to use alternative ways of transportation like bike or even walking, can lessen traffic and make a difference in emissions and noise pollution. Moreover, draconian measures may be needed in industry and transportation fields in order to safeguard environmental interests, for example, establishing here stricter laws about the emissions. Here you spelled emissions right. Look. In conclusion, it can be observed that pollution is one of the consequences of development, no the, but with a conscious, spelled wrong again, society and government measures, this problem can be alleviated, creating a better environment for everyone. Flavia, it's lovely. It's very nice. Unfortunately, the spelling is what's creating a problem for you here, okay? Now, you've given us a task 1. Fantastic. It would really help if you had actually included the image so that we know what you're looking at. Let me see if I can find it somewhere, though. Okay, so I found it. Here it is. Now, this is a tricky one because of the way it's a stacked bar chart, and this makes it kind of tricky to understand. But what they're trying to do here is they're really trying to show you the emphasis on the total, okay? So in other words, for France, these 3 car makers led to this total, and then you have to kind of figure out the number for Audi and for Ford. All right, let's see how you did with this. Okay, so the bar graph, the bar chart illustrates. It doesn't need to be above because it's its own separate piece of paper. So the bar chart illustrates the amount of sales of 3 big car companies in 7 different European countries during the year of 2018. Capitalize European. Overall, Hungary was the country that sold, SOLD, more cars during 2018, where in Belgium, car deals were the lowest. Also, Audi was the least traded car. Audi was the least traded car, while Ford and BMW presented similar trends in sales in those countries. Great. This is a really nice overview because you didn't give me detail. This was accurate. This was accurate. Yes, so far, so good. I just hope that you now go into the analysis of these in the detailed paragraphs. All right, let's see what you did. BMW experienced good sales amounts in almost all the countries presented except for Belgium, where BMW, had only a small fraction of the market with less than 5,000 cars sold. Okay, why have you decided to start with BMW? I don't know. I'm going to look at the chart again. Their highest sales were in France, Germany, Ireland, and Hungary, where numbers not overcame, but surpassed is the word you want here. 100,000. In the other countries, BMW, I'm not crazy about this word commercialization. In the other countries, BMW's trend was about 20% lower, staying at, is missing here, around 80,000-90,000. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just referring to this again because I want to see why you selected to talk about BMW first. As far as task 1 is concerned, there's not just one way to do it. There are multiple ways to do it. This isn't the most logical way as far as I'm concerned, but it's okay. All right, let's see how you develop the rest of it. Okay, Audi cars had better acceptance in countries like Hungary and Germany, where sales rates were around 100,000. In countries like UK, Belgium, and Italy, its popularity was lower. Okay, not apostrophe here. Presenting sales around 1/10 of this number. All right, I love that you did this. 1/10 of this. That was good. Okay, Ford brand cars were, with no H, the most, I don't care for this word, it doesn't fit, most popular, perhaps, were the most popular in 5 of the 9 countries. I thought you said 7 countries. 7 countries, okay? Shown with sales surpassing, again, the other 2 brands, S, whereas in Germany and Italy, their sales presented very low numbers, with only about 10,000 cars purchased or sold, okay? Now, do you remember what I said to you when I first opened the bar chart? Let's look at it again. I told you that one of the reasons why it's presented like this is because there's a real emphasis on the total cars sold in each country, okay? And then what they do in this way is they show you the breakdown of like what contributed to that total. So you were right when you mentioned Hungary, but you know what you never did in your detail? You never talked about that number. Like, what does that actually mean when you say Hungary had the most car sales? I wanted to hear in your details that it was 400,000, and that's why I said I was a little confused as to why you would have started with BMW. For me, a more logical way to organize this is by starting with the countries. So, okay, so I would have probably started with Hungary, and then France, and then I probably would have grouped together 1, 2, 3, and 4, because they're all between this 200 and 300,000 group. Then I probably would have talked about UK and Italy, and if you notice, they have another similarity. Okay, their figures for BMW and Audi are identical, and they only differ in terms of Ford. The real odd one in the bunch is Belgium, that has a similar figure with UK, as far as Ford is concerned, but like negligible numbers for Audi and BMW. So that's how I would have organized this. Okay? Again, there is more than one road that leads to Rome, but I want you to think about how to organize data like this. Okay? And again, this is the whole purpose of the stacked one, because there's this emphasis on the total. All right, Flavia. So let's see. Okay, here's your answer again. So that's pretty much the end of this correction. I mean, you had some nice elements here, but for me, you were missing some important elements like that total. It's a pretty important thing to mention here. But your language was good. You had nice expressions, so I liked all of that. Now, of course, you need to correct your essays, the error correction list, don't forget it, and send back new essays. Okay, I'll let you get to that task. Good job overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing your next essays.